So if you eat enough carrots, you can
Mhm.
get rid of your pinworms, Bill.
Really? Oh my God, I've
Yeah,
been dealing
yeah,
with
you,
this shit
it'll
for a
just flush
long
you out.
time.
Yeah, it happened to me a lot as a
Huh.
kid because I used to play on the playground, the soccer fields, and I mean it
Mm,
was just laden with pinworms, and they're a bugger to get
mm.
rid of. But carrots, dude, just eat a lot of carrots. Does it
Oh
every time,
shit.
man. Yeah,
I never
exactly. Oh shit,
considered
yeah, you'll give them
that.
out. Yeah.
I actually kind of like so the whole like can't beat them, join them thing. I started like cultivating them. Like they're now
Mhm.
kind of a part of me,
Mhm.
right? Like and
Is
now
that who
I
PD is?
yes,
Petey the
actually.
pinworm.
Yeah, Petey the Pinworm, he's the first generation. I got like generation 5 at this point.
Wow.
Like anyways.
That's nasty. All right. So, on the other side of the spectrum today, we
Horrible.
are joined by a special guest, one Adam Neal. Sorry for that segue, sir. I didn't mean to like, include you in our pinworm conversation there, but you're
I
a
enjoyed it.
witness.
It's okay,
Um,
he's the cleanser.
I had concerns about how often you were getting pinworms as a kid. That's kind
yeah,
of bad.
that's true.
It's tragic to
Are
think
you
about.
playing a lot of sandy dirt? Is a lot of sandy dirt that'll get you a
That's
little
all
bit of
right.
moisture in there?
I'm barefoot everywhere I go.
Yeah, no, it's I
Yeah, I'll
will kid
get
you,
you.
it is actually a legit real issue with children. Like I have a nephew and niece, and they would get them. I would get them as a kid playing on the playground. I'm kind of. It's actually a really interesting question in terms of like the current generation, but I digress. Adam Neal is a musician who plays
Yes.
in a band that I really, really like. You've had some of my favorite albums of the year over the last few years. A band called Savage Master.
Savage Master.
Savage Master, who I purchased not just albums but merchandise. I actually really enjoy wearing my Savage Master class shirts to class to let my
Oh,
students know what they're in for.
a real
That you're hip
education.
that
The
you're
real
hip with the
education, yes,
kids.
yes. But Adam, tell us, give us a quick spiel, man. Tell us, just what's where you from, man? Where you guys operate out of? Just give me a quick, just like a little snippet of Adam Neal.
I'll give you a tiny bio.
Mm.
Um, I'm from Kentucky. I grew up in a super rural area. I'm talking like the first house I was born in didn't even have running water.
Oh
We
wow.
lived in the middle of nowhere. Was lucky enough to find music in my early teens. You know,
Wow.
like through my mom was a nurse and worked in a town. So I
Mm,
got to get into heavy metal. As soon as I got heavy metal and punk, it was on. And
mm.
all my projects kind of ride that line of heavy metal and punk. But then, luckily enough, 2013, I met Stacy, and
Okay.
that was really the biggest change of my entire life. Meeting her, starting Savage Master. As soon as we met each other, we hit it off, and then we started Savage Master, and that's the reason we're talking today. So,
Very, very cool. That's a great segue too into what we're
Did
talking
you
about
have
too.
that practiced? That was like perfect.
That
That
was
was
perfect.
such
no,
a
I didn't, but thank you.
that was great.
Yeah, you
Wow.
should. I mean, if if you're looking for another career, man, MC, go up there and just master
Hmm.
ceremonies. Do some stuff like that. You'd be like, go get a You can go online and get one of those little certificates to marry people. Perform
Ooh, that
a.
would be nice, actually. I
You
like
Oh
that.
know,
yeah, I am an ordained minister too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
I
you
Oh,
can
that's
have
marry people.
fantastic.
and
Yeah.
wear the whole Savage Master rig when you go marry people. That'd be pretty dope. With the
That's
whole,
something I've always wanted to do is be an ordained minister. That's true.
It's
sir.
incredibly easy. It's
The
just like
the
the easiest thing.
the internet will grant your dream, sir. All
That's
right.
my
Well,
next phase.
that's true. It is going to have another act here. All right, cool. Well, we're going to come. We're going to go run our opening. We're going to be right back talking with Adam Neal of Savage Master, and
Yeah.
rock on. Bill, what are you listening
Yes.
to?
God. So I've actually been revisiting a bit of a classic singer, at least in my life. I grew up listening to him a lot, and I've just been kind of revisiting a lot of my old faves. Bobby Womack.
Okay.
Um, he
Yeah, man.
yeah, first discovered him on a Gorillaz song on one of my first albums, "Cloud of Unknowing." That was a song I used to like. It's so calming and so like delightful. and I would listen to it to go to sleep because Bobby Womack's voice is like so soothing, and it was pretty. I forgot when he passed away, but it was pretty late in his life, the song that was released, and he had like this, like his voice was so like kind of refined and kind of smooth. It just put me to sleep every time. But his other songs like oh, Women's
See,
Gotta
man,
Have It, all
I
that stuff.
like across 110th Street. That's a great
Yeah.
song by him. Like the
Oh
kind of
yes.
like exploitation era of the
Mhm.
music he did. I haven't heard that later stuff. I'll have to check that out.
It's good. Well, The Cloud of Unknowing is a song that was made by the British group, the animated group Gorillaz.
Right.
Um, and they had him featured on it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Very
it's good.
cool.
It's good. I like that guy.
I'll
I like
definitely check it out.
oh yeah.
He's
What are you
great. Yeah.
listening to, Adam? And I believe you said you had a prop. You're listening to something you have a prop of.
I have some props. The three things, let's see. I had some records out earlier today. Just while
Show
I
and
do my
tell.
thing,
Show and tell,
you
sir.
know.
Never too old.
So I started the day off with this classic.
Okay,
Oh,
If you're
exploited. Let's
familiar with
start
this
a
album.
war.
This is a really good one.
mm,
As my favorite exploited song on it, which is where is it? Rival Leaders. It says
Rival
this is the
leaders.
remix, but I have no idea what the real mix would be. This is the album.
I
I'm
gotta
like,
listen
oh,
to it.
what are they doing? You know? But yeah, this is a great one. That's how I
Classic.
started it off. Also been on a huge kick with this artist for about a year. Um, got into her. Maybe it's been 2 years. I heard this song called "It's a Mystery." The artist is named Toya, and she has this hit called "It's a Mystery" from the '80s. Here's a great album out
Hmm.
here. I'm really currently
Okay.
into.
Ooh, that's like
It's
pretty
like
looking.
prog punk,
Ooh.
kind of new wave prog punk. It's very strange, actually, but
Toya
really
Wil-
aggressive vocals. Very cool.
Toya Wilcox is her name.
Toya Wilcox, yeah, married
Yeah,
to Robert
yeah.
Fripp from King Crimson.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Pretty awesome.
Very cool. I'll check her out.
The
Yeah.
Um,
deep cut right there.
She's
Love it.
like, looks like she's
my,
still performing too. Jeez.
oh, she is, yeah, still very great, man.
Looks good too.
Check out
Shit.
some of her. Check out the song "Neon Womb."
That's a
There's a
great
video
name.
for it. It will sell you on. You'll either love her immediately or it's not for you. One of the, it's like her vibe is just you're gonna like it or you're not gonna like it.
Yeah, I'm checking out her imagery. It's pretty cool. I'm very interested.
It's pretty cool.
It's
A
great.
couple more that I jammed today were Helen Schneider. I don't know if
Oh
y'all heard
yes,
this.
classic.
Great, like German new wave type stuff. And also this classic, which I don't know if you guys have ever heard
The
this.
Electric Hellfire called "Burn Baby Burn."
Oh,
Incredibly
that's
wild, like industrial satanic
Yeah, I know.
ooh.
dance music stuff. It's great.
I I remember them. I one of my we were talking about this a bit, but like well
Very cool.
before I was into heavy metal or was uh over the moon for it, I was a big industrial goth fan, and I remember Electric Hellfire Club being
Really?
like yeah in the
Yeah.
90s into the early
I liked a
2000s.
lot of that stuff too.
That was
Oh
a
yeah.
really golden era of that
For
genre.
sure.
My favorite personal is my personal favorite is Velvet Antichrist.
Oh
Oh,
wow, okay.
Yeah, I saw him.
so
I've seen
good.
them live a few times, and that's
That's incredible.
my first show of them is actually probably one of the best shows I've ever been to. Actually, the best show I've ever been to, and also probably one of the bloodiest. And not fake blood, we'll say. It was like a brutal,
Woof.
wild ass show. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
That was a wild show, but it was good stuff too. That was actually at Slim's in San Francisco, which is the venue that Boss Skaggs owned.
Oh.
So, like, yeah,
That's
Yeah,
played at
it's got a
Clemson before. Played at
reputation.
Clemson.
still have a reputation.
great.
Yeah, yeah. Very cool, man. Well, I myself, I was listening to this weekend. I don't, I don't believe I don't want to call them a guilty pleasure because I don't think they are a guilty pleasure, but they're a band I've been following for a few years, and I just think they do a good job. Is Burning Witches, the new one, Inquisition.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I think that they're just a really solid heavy metal band. Like, they're not, I'm not going to tell you like listening to them is going to make you like rethink heavy metal or,
Of course.
blow it up for you, but they do what they do and they do the thing well.
I'll have to
Really
check out
good.
the new one.
Yeah.
I like their other stuff.
Yeah,
You just
they have
told
a
me
whole,
about them.
they have a
Like
whole like
they're good.
they're good. Yeah, they're everyone in that band is like a top-notch musician. They have had some rotation in their lineup, but the lineup's largely solidified since the second album, I think. And they constantly tour and do festivals and everything. But they're also like I kind of like that they're doing original songs, and I have one friend I went to high school with who's in a she's rather prevalent in we'll say like an all women female Black Sabbath band that like tours a lot,
Okay.
and also like I think there was also a
Oh,
there was I think an Iron Maiden one too. I
that's
can't remember which
awesome.
ones they are because there's a bunch of them, but
Gotcha.
a lot of those they're just doing covers where like Burning Witches is doing original tracks, and I think they have a really good art direction. I think they but the new one Inquisition just hit it right. I actually think it's one of the best releases off of Napalm for a while. So
Because the
uh
bar is so high.
we will I don't know what Neal's aspirations are for labels, so I don't want to do it. If you were Trevor, we'd talk shit all day, but you're not.
Yeah.
So
Oh god.
Right.
I'm used to Trevor. Sorry.
yeah, we got we're looking for that episode. Well, that episode will have aired last week when this one airs, but yeah, the new Burning Witches Inquisition, go check it out. It's all an album. I think it's a fun one here too. And honestly, that I think about Burning Witches actually in this album. The themes of this album are really interesting because a lot of them remind me of themes that I've seen you guys explore in Savage Master.
Okay.
Like I mean, their cover is like a witch at the stake being burned, and then like the fire coming out is the various like faces of the different band members.
Right.
You
I
know?
could see us doing something like that.
Yeah, and like I mean, you literally have a video where like Stacy's burned at the stake. So like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
I don't mean to impose on your vision, but I've seen it, and it looks like that. So the receipts are there, sir.
Yes,
But
they are.
like, yeah,
We got the screenshots.
we got the screenshots, but yeah, I that was one thing I liked about Savage Master was how visually striking the band is.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
And Bill and I've talked about this a lot. We've talked about like Ghosts and Sleep Token and stuff
Mhm.
like that, for better or for worse. But my issue with that stuff is, well, among others, but my issue with that stuff is that like at some point when you got more money than God to do your production, like what is didn't I say like you showed me a Sleep Token video and I said did they like just like rent like Pirates of the Caribbean from Disneyland and bring it on tour with them? Like it felt like they had that
Yeah,
much
it was. I
prestige.
forgot what it was, but it was
They were
something
just,
like
you know,
that.
they're moving all the stuff around. We're like,
Right.
I've been to Savage Master shows. I've seen the videos. I remember one of the first videos of yours I ever saw was you guys playing like Ripper and Black live in a bar. I mean, it was like,
Oh,
and
Right.
you guys were all like in costume. Stacy's wearing a costume. I'm pretty sure there was chains at some point.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
probably. Um, and I've always been intrigued by when musicians want to create that imagery. And we had an episode about this a while back about costuming, but like what went into that? Like what was the vision of Savage Master going into it?
Well, I mean, first of all, right out of the gate, like the two things that have been the most important to me, like since I was a kid, have been horror movies and music. These things, movies in general, but
oh,
horror movies especially, were a
totally.
really solid. I grew up in the '80s as a latchkey kid.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Mm.
my mom worked 3 to 11 every day. She was a nurse, like 4 days a week, and my dad wasn't really in the picture all the time. So a lot of those days it's me 3 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night watching movies from the video store. Mom had went to the video store and said, "Hey, he can rent whatever he wants as long as it's not in the porno section."
Fair
Right.
enough.
And so, which is cool. So any horror movie in there was, up for grabs to me from probably like 9 on. Um, and so though that part of, that really imprinted on me, the horror aesthetic. I've always been obsessed with it. I love the movies, the comic books, the shirts, the dolls, the whole bit. I've always enjoyed it, but more than anything, the movies always meant a lot to me. And also music because I spent a lot of time alone listening to my dad's 8 tracks and old albums, 70s music, even the Beatles, anything you could find you'd listen to as a kid, to check it out. The moment you listen to the Grateful Dead for the first time and you're like, what is this? Why is this? Uh, but
Who is this?
who
Yeah.
is this? Why does
Yeah.
this have a skull on it, but it is not heavy? What is happening? Uh, but so that was always super important to me. So I did a lot of metal and punk bands that were kind of blue jeans and leather kind of bands,
Mhm.
and that's cool. I mean, I love the Ramones and I love that aesthetic, but I'd always wanted to do a band that was like highly theatrical. That's something that I always wanted to do, so we could kind of be in our own horror movie all the time. Like it's our
Mm,
own world that kind of Savage Master lives in the videos. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Uh, and so that was always from the moment me and Stacy met. That was something we shared. She wanted to do something theatrical as well. She liked Merciful Fate and stuff like that. She wanted, to go in that direction immediately. And so we were kind of just on the same page, like right out of the gate about that part. The hard part was convincing everybody else around us to go along with it because nobody wanted to go along with it at first. Everybody hated it. You know what I mean? It was like, I don't want to have to
Yeah.
wear these masks, it's uncomfortable and all this, this stuff because it's not worked yet. Um, but that was from the get go. As soon as we met, it had to be theatrical, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be like somewhat of a Mario Bava movie all the time, and
Oh,
that
yes.
right. And Black Sunday was the movie that really inspired us for the look of the band original,
Mm.
because in the opening where they nailed that the mask of Satan on her face and all that stuff is just, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, but Mario Bava's Black Sunday, absolute classic. See it. Um, they nailed this giant mask on her. We even considered early on Stacy wearing like a prosthetic that would have the holes in her face and
Oh
everything.
wow.
We didn't go there because it's
Ooh,
just too
that's
hard.
cool.
It was
Yeah.
way too much, money and
Yeah.
work. But so from the very beginning, it had to be that way.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I love the aesthetic of Savage Master just
Mm.
so much. Like I when I saw like the Dark and Dangerous album cover recently, like I actually noticed that the previous album covers are illustrated, and then these two
Mm.
last ones were
Yeah.
pictures, and they were like you have is it the last two? Yeah, it's the last
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, it's
Dark
the
and
last two.
Dangerous and Those Who Hunt at Night. And I love the pictures that you guys have, and it's clear like so much love went into it. And that's the kind of genre that I call for myself cozy horror because
Cozy
it
horror.
reminds
Yeah.
me of like what
Yeah,
I
man.
love. And I'm like, this is just like distilled, not nostalgia, but like, well, it is kind of
It is
nostalgia
distilled
actually.
nostalgia. No, it
It's
is.
based
It's
in
distilled
nostalgia for
nostalgia,
sure.
yeah.
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 But it's great.
And
It's
there,
lovely and it's great, and it
Um,
reminds me of watching horror movies as a kid.
right. I always thought I always like to bring up that like people forget about things that were spooky.
Mhm.
Remember
Yeah,
Spooky?
Yeah.
Spooky was
it's
cool,
spooky.
man. Spooky, you got a little chill, you got a little creeped out. It was spooky.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that's cool. I like that. That's horror. And also a lot of times when I was younger, I really like Disney horror, like
Oh
yeah.
yeah. That was a
Black
whole thing.
Cauldron or
Black
something.
Cauldron.
Man,
Yeah.
Black Cauldron. It's
Oh, Black
dark as
Cauldron goes
hell in that
hard.
movie. So great. So I like that kind of purple and green and blue version of
Yeah,
horror that they do. That's really always set well with
yeah,
me.
And that was one thing with Savage Master is like there's a horror element when you look at it, but you can't quite place your finger on it. Like
yeah.
what's unsettling I mean, so like let me be clear, Neal, or sorry, Adam, you're a big dude, like you're a tall dude.
Right.
You're pretty good sized dude, and I mean, it seemed like a big dude with a chain around his neck and a freaking like mask over his head. The first time I saw you, and let me know if I need to edit this out, but like you were just wearing just a leather vest, and we could see your chest tattoos.
Yes.
And that was like I was like, okay, this is a message.
Yeah.
Can I mention what that is?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, that says a
So
lot, I
so
guess.
so Adam has about like was it 2.5 feet long, 2.5 feet tall?
Maybe a foot and a half.
Yeah, it's
not
a
that.
foot and a half tall, upside down, giant black cross on his chest.
That's incredible.
And like that was, he has like chains around his neck. He's got this like black leather vest. He's got the mask on, playing, ripping guitar like you wouldn't believe. And it's
Is
like
there a message there? I can't
there's
really tell.
there's a message there. Like
Yeah.
there's a very distinct like implication
direct.
occurring here, sir. Like but like that, that created, whether or not that all came to just happened to come together or was purposeful, I don't know, and I don't give a shit because it fucking worked.
It
And like
rocks. Yeah.
and I
That's
think I
awesome.
saw you I think that was at the Golden Bull. I think that was
Yeah,
the Golden,
Golden Bull. Wow.
Golden Bull's a dope venue, man. I think was that with Skeletor? I can't remember who. I think it was.
I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, and that was a fucking dope show. I've seen some very, very good shows
Yeah,
there.
those are fun shows. That was early stuff, man.
That's actually the venue I first saw Drab Majesty at.
That's
Oh,
so
no
cool.
Oh, wow, Drab Majesty. Wow.
Yeah, they played that there, and it was a very like I mean, I was like, that's an intimate venue, but yeah, because it's basically a hallway with a bar in it, like
Yeah, pretty much.
But then But yeah, that whole kind of visage and that stuff just works. And then your songs, the first song I heard was Ripper in Black, and that sold me. Ripper in
Mm,
Black came out, and it was, you know, and Bill and I think we're on the same page of this. Is we really dislike the thing of like quote unquote female fronted bands being like a genre.
Yeah,
Like I hate
yeah,
that.
man.
yeah.
It's just like
Like it's
here's
just one genre because they're female.
it's
Yeah,
not a
it's weird.
genre. It's not a
It's
genre
weird.
because it's not a style of music. It's just that you have a woman singing you have
Yeah,
female vocalists singing the song.
it,
That's all. That's what it is. That's all it
it's
is.
absurd. I mean,
Yeah,
that
it's a
whole
sort
thing
of the
is absurd.
genre. And so,
That's not a genre. That's
it's not
just
a
like a
genre.
descriptor. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
I mean,
That's like saying like you have like a you have a nerd bassist. It's
I mean,
like,
there's not a male fronted genre.
there's
You know
not a
what I
male
mean?
fronted
no,
genre.
Give me a
of
Yeah,
break.
course not.
yeah.
Give me
So
a fucking break.
it does. Yeah. So but I remember hearing Stacey's vocals on that, and uh, like she was singing at some points, but she was spitting.
Yeah.
Like it was
Pretty
brutal and
rowdy. Yeah.
rowdy, and it felt violent. And then when I saw her names like Stacey Savage, I was like, oh fuck yeah.
She lives up to the
Right.
name.
She lives up to
So
it.
that
Yeah.
works.
I mean, and I will say this that women vocalists didn't have the best stage names of all times. Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
Dinah Cancer is the best stage name ever.
it's fantastic,
It's
right?
so good.
Dinah, yeah. Have you ever been to one of her garage sales?
No,
She would like back in the day, she was doing like almost like once a month garage sales, and it was a whole
really
thing to go to Dinah Cancer and get like a garage sale.
incredible.
Like,
Love
That's
that band.
awesome.
Love
yeah.
the band.
But yeah, that whole kind of is like that kind of like you have this like visage, you have the sound, you have the whole package, and I'm like, these motherfuckers are playing in a bar doing this shit. And it was just some video on YouTube I caught, and so I listened to the song. The song it repeat the sound was the same. So I was like, okay, maybe she sounds this way because like it's in a bar and someone on their phone says, it's gonna sound like shit, right? It's just someone's phone recording. But no, like that was the aesthetic, that was what was gone for on the recording. And that was dope. And I will say that one thing about Savage Master, I've had a few people notice this too, and I follow a lot of people on like Blue Sky talk about heavy metal, is people have talked about how like the vocals have really evolved, the music has evolved, the
Yeah,
production has evolved. I feel like I mean the one thing that and people are always attracted to vocalists because like everybody can sing, whether well or not, it's a different story, but everybody can at least sing. When you guys shred on a guitar, I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
right.
I can't begin to mimic it. But like the vocals we can relate to very easily.
Mhm.
And one thing people have like been attracted to is like the kind of evolution of Stacey's voice, the different kind of aesthetics you guys go for. Because like the current album, nothing sounds like Ripper in Black, like nothing.
Right. Yeah,
And
totally.
I like that.
It's a new sound, and I'm
Yeah.
totally into it. And like I
And
mean,
it feels
yeah.
organic. It feels
Yeah.
organic.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's very organic. The purpose was to repress the sound. I mean, we did it purposefully. Like
Mhm.
it was a sought out idea that we aggressively went after.
It's still
For
it's
sure
still
to
that-
expand just the world of it. That was the
Yeah.
goal of what we
yeah.
could sing about and have go on one of our records and get away with really. And
Mhm.
I think it worked out. It rides the line. Some
Totally did.
people have definitely complained about the romance element and stuff like that, but that doesn't bother me. I love vampire movies
The
and shit like that.
romance,
So,
complain about the romance, dude. That's like
like
that's like
the love song
start of
stuff and stuff.
the start of
I-
the start of every fucking horror movie in the 80s has like some love thing going on.
Man,
They have
I
to
know.
have that shit because it builds up emotion, and then you rip it from their fucking mouths.
Yeah.
I agree.
I
agree.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
man.
guys,
Romance and horror go hand in
this-
hand. I'm
no,
sorry.
this
I
is-
agree with you. I
this
agree.
is the shit that pisses me off with like a lot of fans of music, or not fans of music, but like I see this with, like we'll say like there's a subpar of metal fan out there, I'll say, because I've seen it before, where they're just like, give me loud banging waily guitar all the time, and I'm like, you can't do it all the time, bro.
Give me the same album 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Give me the same album over and over
Yeah.
forever.
And then
You
they
know,
complain
I get
that it
that.
sounds the
I like
same.
Motorhead too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I get it. I like the Ramones,
exactly. You know what you're getting,
but-
right?
but I think that only works with a few, a handful of bands, really.
Yeah.
That the endless repetition thing.
I remember I took a music class, a music history, 20th century history of music class in college, and my professor had this line they said, and it stuck with me ever since. He's like, so back in like this year, Bill Haley in the comments, put out a song called "Rock Around the Clock," and they
Yeah.
played that for the rest of their life, and that was the end of the section.
That's really funny.
I'm like, yeah, that's all they. If you kind of like give into that idea of yourself, like you'll just become that, and then you don't ever
Yeah, man.
evolve. But the thing about Savage Masters, even looking at the current stuff, like I can see in the visuals, in the audio, and the way it sounds, I can still see the early stuff. It's just like
Right.
chosen to take a certain element and push it over here and push it over here and remix it. So I think that's
That's
really,
exactly it. That's
They still
exactly it,
got
man. It's definitely building on, like, that was the rule from the very beginning of us talking about this album, is like how do we take this very established kind of vibe and sound that we have, especially on the first three records. The last one was, I think, kind of going in this direction a little bit as well. Uh, how do we utilize that, but also bring in like several other elements, more keys and stuff like that? How do we expand it? Expand it. It was tough.
yeah.
There were songs that didn't make it, you know.
Yeah, those who hunt at night is actually probably one of my favorite. Like I would call I'm hesitant to even call it genre, but like vampire metal route records. Like there
that's
is
so
like a
good.
there is
It is vampire
it's
metal,
a
man.
vampire metal. Yeah, I have I'm very discerning on black metal, but I love vampiric black metal because it's just like the dumbest fucking thing
Yeah.
in the world, and it's amazing
Absolutely.
and it's so good. Um, you know, so yeah, I think that's really good. But yeah, I'm glad you seem happy with the album. Like you seem really happy.
Oh man, I'm totally stuck with it. We spent a lot of time working on it. Me and Nicholas Burks, the guitar player, like
Amazing
we
guy.
spent incredible dude, a very great creative force, insane player. I can't express to you the guy's ability is just unbelievable. But we spent a year, me and him, screwing around with all those songs, demoing them, doing stuff. There's a whole version of the album where I do the vocals,
Oh wow.
like
Oh,
a template version. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? As we were writing it, we're recording our pieces and thinking like, oh, this has got to go here. Here's where the
mhm.
vocal goes. Here's where it stops. It was a lot of work to cone tone down some of the old Savage Master things and also tune up some of the new things into that. It was tough.
I
Um,
Remind
bet.
that reminds me a
yeah.
lot of one of my favorite albums of all times, and I get mad when people haven't heard about it is the Glove Blue Sunshine.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
Yeah, with so Robert Smith and Steve Severn from Sooth and Banshees, like their one-off project, and like how there was the demo versions of Robert Smith, but they couldn't put those out because he wasn't allowed to be the main vocalist of anything but The
Right.
Cure. So they grabbed this other
Mm,
vocalist, and it took forever for those demos to come out. So you have like it's not like great recorded Robert Smith, but it's Robert Smith, and
Sure.
like there's a whole different version of the album, and it sounds it's a different experience to hear it with a male
whoa.
vocalist, even someone as soft as Robert Smith versus the female vocalist they went with.
Yeah.
So I think
Because
that
those
can be
vocals are really well too.
yeah, I would love to hear it, Adam. Like please, we will say it on this once in a while, but give the people what they want, dude.
Oh yeah.
Um, um,
Maybe
but
one day,
yeah,
yeah, we'll put something up.
so one of the big you guys have some big news come up recently, and this was really cool. And actually, one of like when I saw this, I was like, oh, we gotta get Adam on for sure. Um, and for those who don't know at home, Bill is a tour manager. He tour manages for rock bands,
Yeah,
and
sometimes.
sometimes, occasionally, and it's when the season's on. And
Yes.
we saw you were doing this tour, and we were both like, "How do you? What is it like to tour with
Yes.
this?"
Oh my
So for those
God.
who don't
I've
know,
been waiting.
Savage Master is it on all the dates or just a few dates?
I think we're on 5 of them or something
I
like
think it's
that.
the September dates. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
we're
Enough.
replacing the dwarf. I think we replaced the dwarves on a
yeah,
portion of it.
which is wild to replace the dwarves. That's like a whole
That's a while. I'm a dwarves fan, so it's like from when I was
no.
younger, I love the dwarves. So it's weird to
You that
replace
came
them
out
on
and
a bill.
showed me an exploited record. There's no way you're a fan of the dwarves, right? There's no way. How I can't believe it, sir. But I was in a bunch of punk bands, but the dwarves no. It's
Yeah.
but you're playing in Detroit,
The
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Chicago, and Cleveland from the September 17th to the 21st, opening for the almighty GWAR.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
along with is and Helmet's on those dates too.
Yeah, that's
Fuck,
crazy
dude,
as well.
Helmet's
I know.
like
That's
Helmet.
crazy.
I was thinking about Helmet. Well, before I get into GWAR, because I do want to talk about this kind of that whole tour thing. But like, I was thinking about Helmet. My nephew, he's like 34, 35, and he was asking like, so like, what's Helmet like? And I was like, Helmet. I don't know where to place them in musically in the '90s because they were like just different. They rocked, but I didn't feel
Yeah.
like they weren't new metal for sure. They weren't part of that whole thing. They weren't
Oh, it's
grunge.
not
They
new
weren't
metal.
no, they weren't. They were kind of in between everything. And I was thinking about them, and this is how I kind of thought of my Helmet. I need to go back and listen to the Helmet, but like they're kind of like a like this is gonna sound weird, but like a proto, almost like High on Fire is what I kind of like thought of them as.
Man, that's kind of
Mm.
true. Like, I listened to them back in the day a bit, and I
Mhm.
seen them live a couple times in the early '90s. But I was never like a fan of it. Like
No,
I wasn't
no,
really into it.
but it was
But I did
good. You're
see
like,
the
this is
yeah,
good.
it was good. It was heavy. It seemed heavy at the time
Yeah.
and kind of different, you know. But now when I went back and listened to it, though, I was like, this is really puzzling because it's like rock music,
Mhm.
but it's just kind of strange rock music. The High
Yeah.
on Fire thing, it's that's really close. It's like a more
Yeah.
rock High on Fire or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Because High
that's
on Fire
really
is like
close.
they're High on Fire is playing heavy metal, but like it's not what we normally would call heavy metal.
No,
Like it's
and it's
it's
more
it's,
Yeah.
accessible than High
it's
on
like
Fire too.
yeah, it's more accessible. I believe so. Yeah.
Immediately more accessible. Yeah,
Yeah. Because I
and
remember
more '90s vibes. But
my
yeah.
first exposure to the Helmet was like on the Crow soundtrack, and
Oh,
Oh
like
my
really?
God.
yeah, that was a big deal. Then and that's a
Wow.
big soundtrack. That was a fucking great soundtrack.
Yeah,
Everybody
it's
Oh my
watch.
huge.
God.
Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, Helmet was on there. I think they're. I'm pretty sure they were on there. And then if I'm making that up, guys, please name check me and drop us a subscription and comment so you can bitch me
No,
out.
I'm
But
sure. I'm sure it
uh,
was.
uh, but um, the yeah, getting to open up for Helmet, dude, is like that's a big deal, man. Yeah, it was Milk Toast. That was the song Milk Toast.
Oh,
Um,
right on.
that's a rocking song too.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that brings us to our question we have that Bill and I contrived together,
Oh
which is
yes.
how do you prepare for tour with GWAR?
How the actual fuck do you do that?
Yes. Do you have to bring your own urine in
Sure.
bags, or do they provide the bags for you? Is there a per diem of bags of urine for you, or how do they work that through?
In the contract, we have to present each night one bag of urine per member to the band. It's
Mm.
part of our per diem towards them. Like we
Ah,
actually pay. That's our payment to be on tour with them. Is our own urine.
I see. This
Yeah,
is
So they
it's
the
what.
just use
Yeah,
it for their own
I
purposes.
believe this was
whatever they
this was
do with
a
it, I don't know.
this was a giant scam back in the 1950s called the Pissola scam.
The Pissola
The
scandals.
Pissola
People were being paid
scam.
off with piss.
We're just sending jars of piss to like DJs around the country.
It's all
That's
Pissola.
fucked up.
Oh man,
But yeah, you know,
I feel like I stole that from a John Waters movie or something. Um,
uh,
but like,
but man, no, it's tough because you know we're a costume band
yeah,
and we're going to play with what you would, I think you could say was the greatest costume
yes,
band probably of all time.
top
I mean,
down, hugely
yeah,
influential.
I mean, you
Oh
might
yeah.
have Kiss, you might have Kiss past that, you know,
That's not a
but that's
costume band. Like
but
they're
that's not even that far past it. They just have explosions. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they have outfits and explosions. War is going to cut somebody in half. They're going to do all kinds of crazy stuff. Somebody's going to crawl out of a giant butthole, probably. Who
yeah.
knows what's going to happen?
Full body cost, and it's not just like it isn't just a
Yeah,
costume. It's like a full body. Like we're gonna have this huge thing on my head when I play guitar.
yeah.
They're not small things, and you see bands like
I don't
that. Like
understand. It's so hard to play just in our hood and play accurately and see things in the dark club. I can't imagine like what that's like with the giant flopping head mask on. Like it's just got to be impossible. But it's daunting for us because we want to do as much as we possibly can because you're opening for GWAR, so you're going to have to do something as a costume band that's going to be, you know. So we'll have the casket, we'll do a ton of blood and a bunch of stuff like that. Um, but mostly it'll be a live and learn type situation for us. Like we played with them, they took us out for 4 dates a couple years ago, and it was just an eye opener to watch them do their show from behind scenes of
I
what we would
bet.
like to do at some point. If
mhm.
only we had the budget they had, you know, like what we would do, you know. So we think about that and we watch it. Mostly it's a learning experience, but
Well,
it
what's
also
up?
stinks really bad
I
everywhere
can
back there.
imagine.
In case you didn't know that, you know, we mentioned earlier before the interview started the vats that they have of stuff, you know, that you get sprayed
Oh
Yeah.
my
with.
God.
And
Yeah.
you know, according to a good friend of mine who works in their camp, I believe some of that stuff sits around for quite some time
You gotta have
and
your
is
reserves.
filled with a mystery fluid, you know, so you never know what you're going to get sprayed with.
So what? So you said you'd gone out with them a little bit as a learning experience. What's a lesson you learned from that experience then? Like what's something that stuck with you? You've
Oh,
now
oh,
leveraged.
definitely. Like one lesson that we learned right off the bat, and it seems like common sense, but it's not because as a band, this is all a pretty low budget underground that we're living in here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like any of us are making any real money from any of this stuff. You're like your band is barely surviving without it costing you a bunch of money. Basically, that's how it is for most of it. And so you don't always have that much to put into it, and you can get in the kind of headspace of, oh, we can't afford that, or we can't do this, or we can't do that. But watching GWAR made us realize, like, well, if you want to do this right, you have to have these people help. You have to have helpers. You have to have this stuff prepared. You have to spend that extra money to make that actually, come across the audience. That was one of the reasons we recostumed so heavily. Is after playing with GWAR, I thought we need to up with the capes and all the stuff. We need to go further with the whole thing on stage. It's just what they do is it's like theater more than it is
Yeah.
music. I mean, it is music, but it's theater 100%. And I think that really influenced us to do a little bit more and get our bits together.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've seen us today, it's going to be like one thing after another. We're going to nail you with it, song to song. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And earlier on, it was kind of chaotic. Whenever she would get the candelabra out, or she might drink blood in this song, or but GWAR, you watch them, and they're like a timed machine. Like they know exactly what they're going to do every night with that stuff. And so
That's
that's very
crazy.
influential. It seems chaotic when you see it from the audience because you're seeing GWAR, right?
Right.
Shit spraying everywhere. It seems like it's real wild. But from behind the scenes, there's like five guys back there making everything happen.
Hmm.
They're clothing
It,
the extra guys.
yeah.
They're doing this stuff. They're getting the sprays ready, all that stuff. And so it really taught me, like, hey, have extra people. If you want to pull off a theatrical show, you got to really put your heart into it. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Okay. Yeah, no, great, great. Um, so what's it been? What kind of so you said you play with GWAR and you play with some other bands, bigger bands like this here and there. What kind of reaction do you get from like new fans? Like what kind of like what do you hear? What's the scuttlebutt, if you will, of like when people see Savage Master for the first time? They
Right.
had there's this band called Savage Master on the tour. I guess I'll watch them. They watch them and they're like, oh shit, okay, like what do you kind of get out of that when you're not the headliner? Like what kind of reaction do you get from the audience or do
Um,
feedback or something
well,
like
you're,
that?
right out of the gate, your goal is to go out there and try to obviously win GWAR's audience
Yeah.
as best you can. That's the pot of gold that you're out there doing, and the opportunity you have is you're going to play in front of their audience. So you want to, really put it over as hard as you can. Sometimes it works better than others. Sometimes it's a night where it's extreme metal fans,
Hmm.
or it's in the wrong demo, the wrong region or something where they don't really like classic metal, or the fans there are more into thrash and death metal and they're ready to go crazy. So we seem a little like light compared to other bands, I think, sometimes because we don't really go we don't do grinding, type vocals or anything like that. It's, what it is. And so that can be hard, but so we have to win them over with the show. It has to be the show that
Yeah.
convinces them that, this band is more than just heavy metal or whatever, it's a show. This sounds cheesy, but one thing we have on our side with that is like the occultism stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
Mm.
sometimes black metal people will come see us, generally not liking us because the music is not like what they want, but they'll accept it and get into it because of the occult part pretty quickly.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, it's satanic at least. You know what I mean? Like, and they like the imagery and they see it and it looks like Merciful Fate or something. So
Yeah.
that clicks all the boxes, but the music's like heavy metal. It's weird. It's crazy the boundaries there, but you can win people over with certain
Well,
elements.
that goes back into the one of the issues with like the genre of black metal is like what is the genre? And if you look at the origins of it, it's just anti-Christian. It's just not Christian.
Yeah,
So
man.
it's just not Christian. It's not. It's just
Yeah.
something different. So like that's where we've talked about this before, but like you get into stuff like Bathory embracing Viking elements is like not
Hmm.
Christian. You get into like bands that have like Hindu themes, but they're playing black metal. Like it's
Right.
very
Yeah.
so it's just kind of taken off from there. So yeah, I mean, I see you guys really being pushing back on that, and I mean, there is I would say there is an argument to be made that Savage Master would be a black metal band in if you were to just use the criteria of the first generation of black metal.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Definitely.
definitely,
First wave, we would definitely be like,
yeah, I mean, you'd be amongst you guys would be opening for Venom and shit like easily.
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
just subject matter alone. Yeah. I mean,
the subject
that's
matter
enough.
alone, right? It goes to the theme and everything working, but um, you know, uh Bill, you got a question for him here? I know you got
Yeah, yeah. I
Bill
was
tends to do his homework more.
Okay.
He's a good boy and does his homework.
yes.
That's why
I
he's the tour
got
manager.
yes. Usually I'm the one waiting for I have like six questions ready to go, and like when one comes up in the conversation, I kind of ask it. But I'm gonna go out of my comfort zone and
I
ask a
like that.
question that kind of changes the topic here. I I wanted to ask less about Savage Master and more about you, Adam. And
Okay.
you've been on a couple of projects before. You've been on The Hookers. You've been on, oh God, there was one that I was just going to bring up, but you've been on a few. And I wanted to ask, like, what excites you about starting a new project? What in the kind of like description or like theoretical vibe of a project is what draws you in?
Right.
What excites you about it?
Um, Man, that's such a complicated question because it can be so many different things. Like
Hmm.
sometimes you're in a band of kind of happenstance. You know, you end up
Yeah.
in this situation where you're in this band. Like I had like my earlier bands like Hookers or something, that was an organic band where I just desperately wanted to start a band. You know, we're
Yeah.
trying to get out of Kentucky any way we could, you know.
Yeah.
And that sounds funny, but that's really the reality of it, was to get the heck out of here and have some kind of life, because in Kentucky there's some kind of backwards, like don't, you know, like Homer Simpson said, you if you don't try anything, you can't be a failure, or whatever that quote is to
Yeah.
him. There's a real prevailing thing about that in Kentucky. So we always wanted to get out. So that was my goal with that band, 100%, was just to get out. And we were dickheads and kind of like, you know, young pricks just being assholes, really, you know, like
Yeah.
yelling at the audience, playing rock and roll music or whatever. And that was the general goal of the band, 100%, just
Yeah.
teenage goofery. But then, like my next band, I had a real creative flair with this band called Brothers of Conquest around 2000, and I
Yes,
wrote an
that's the
album
one I
called,
was gonna ask about.
yeah, I wrote that album, and that was like a creative stroke of mine where I just did that and I loved it and had to get it out. Like I
Yeah.
wanted that to be out, like as a piece of music, not just like I want to do this band and have fun, but I had reached a point where I was writing music that I actually thought I want to present this as a piece of music. Um, but then that turned into, that was kind of successful for a minute, and then that's how I ended up in another band with these same guys called Blade of the Ripper, which I didn't really
Mm,
want to be in. You know,
Hmm.
like ultimately you're
really?
like, this, I don't want to do this really. But you do it, you do the music and you write some music, and then you're just not very happy with it. Later you look at it and be like, why'd I ever do this? You know, like,
Yeah.
they're all different, man. You know, uh, same with Savage Master. So like Savage Master started out as a project that I was like super interested in. Like, oh, how do I do this 80s metal kind of band? How do I do this? Because I'd been in punk and rock and roll bands and stuff, but how do I do this legit 80s sounding heavy metal band? It's tougher than you think, you know? And so the first album was a total stroke of like that creative flow coming from just being excited about the project. You know, I
Hmm.
don't know how much you guys operate creatively, but there
Yeah.
can be these
Yep.
real ebbs and flows with it where like you got
Oh,
to get it done,
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
vibe. You know what I mean? Like I got to get this done, or the day where you stroked out like four or five things, just like, oh wow, you know, I'm having
Hmm.
these just moments. Uh, but then like you have to make another album. We had to make album number two, and then you have to make album number three, and you have to make an album number four or five, and it becomes like this meeting in the middle of the road of like your creative lust and force versus the reality of that you have to create these 10 songs that have to be out next year. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
And it's a really weird headspace to get into. It can be frustrating, I think. You can kind of like get against yourself where like, I don't want to do this, you know,
When
because there's a bit of
creativity
pressure to it.
meets work.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's weird because it becomes a responsibility. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can resent the work. Like I face that a lot working with students. Like you kind of resent like that you have to do the thing at times, or you
Yeah.
feel like drained out, and
Yeah.
Yep.
if it's not exciting. But I gotta say that's one thing I liked about you guys is like, I feel like whenever Savage Master record's coming out, you guys get pumped up about it. Maybe
Hmm.
you get refilled, like your cup gets refilled, to use that kind of adage, you
Yep.
know.
I think that's
Um,
true.
and because you guys got some like loyal fans. I mean, you got some like
Oh,
you,
yeah.
Yeah.
you got
We do.
me obviously, but like I
Thank you.
I can only buy so many records. And But
No, man. I mean, some people, yeah, they buy every color, they buy every
yeah,
release. I don't know,
they go berserk on it.
but
No,
thanks,
I actually
thankful for those
remember.
people.
I remember when I got the liquid filled record for Hunt at Night, and you messaged me directly. You were like, "Yo, how's it sound, dude? Like, how's the liquid filled sound?"
Dude, that's what actually
That's
sound.
so funny.
Yeah, because you're like, I haven't gotten mine yet, man. What's it sound like? Is it any good? And I was
Yeah,
like, that
man.
sounds
We
fine.
didn't get ours until like a month later or something, man.
Yeah, I was like,
Well,
it's a liquid filled record. It's gonna sound as good as a liquid filled record can.
I
Like,
know. Like, what does that
that's all you
even
can
mean?
do. And you
Yeah,
know what's
he
funny?
did.
If you want to get into a wild conversation, I've had people literally go off about this. Is how like white vinyl does not sound good.
Right.
Like they'll say that,
I've
and I'm
heard that
like,
argument. Yeah.
I think at one time it was, and like, but I don't think it's the case anymore. I still think picture just sound like shit. I even
Yeah,
they've
man.
gotten
Well, all
better,
my
but
old ones do. All the old ones sound really rough.
because they're super thin. Like it's like a thin
Yeah.
piece of
Yeah.
plastic. They've gotten better. I will say that the current ones are a bit better, but
Well, it's
like
really a novelty item,
it's
like
totally novelty. And I wish people
not
understood
like,
it's a novelty.
that's like
It's
the Flexi or something, like the Flexi. That's as novel as you can get.
no.
Like
See,
Oh
I
yes.
would beg to differ on the
that's like five
flexi.
plays or something. Yeah.
I would beg to differ on the flexi because the flexi was for distribution purposes. It was to get the record out quickly and cheaply. But
True. And
my first experience with flexi. You actually might appreciate this, Adam. My first experience with flexis was like getting them at church, like
Oh my
getting them
god.
in like we would get like Christian coloring books, and there would be a flexi in there
Oh
of
my
like
god.
like some songs like
that's
Bible
incredible.
Christian Sunday school Bible songs you could listen to while you're coloring Jesus or whatever the hell it is,
That's
and like
incredible.
but like
My
it was a
first
cheap way to do it.
my first Flexi was from Burger Chef and Jeff. You know what
Mm.
that is?
Whoa.
The restaurant. Like
Yeah.
they put out like ones in the '80s of like Halloween songs, and my mom got me one when I was a kid. That was the first
Oh,
Flexi I ever had.
that's
It was
fun.
red. It would make that sound when you shook
Yeah,
it.
yeah, the floppy sound. My one of
Wobble,
my
wobble,
favorite
wobble,
flexes
wobble.
I have
Yeah.
was it came out of Decibel magazine, and it was a pentagram demo from their early days on a flexi,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just
Oh.
shit on top of shit sounding.
Oh.
That's
I believe it's for
awesome.
Bang It Out, and it just sounds like trash, and it's
See,
amazing.
I think the
Sounds like
magazine.
delicious
Oh,
TV
go ahead. Go ahead.
static.
Yeah, the
That's it.
magazine Flexi is where it's at though.
Yeah,
That was the best use of the Flexi
yeah.
ever, I feel like.
Just distro it.
Like because it was frivolous already, but then you got like kind of this little gift. If you took care of it, you could listen to it a few times.
Yeah, and that's a big issue to a lot of vinyl listeners. They're listening to this on their Crowsley, on their old ones that are
Yeah.
heavy players. And if you have like a light one that's like decent, it'll last for a while.
Yeah.
My my other one of my fetishes in like record collecting is I have a shit ton of lathe cut like plexiglass.
Oh wow.
And it's
Mm.
mostly dungeon synth. So it already
Oh,
Oh,
sounds
that's
like
incredible.
shit, and then it plays like shit, and like
Right.
you have to be really careful then because like it'll the needle will ride the fucking groove or it'll ride like the lisp, so you kind of get the sound, but it's like super echoey, so you have to tap the late
Yeah.
the plinth to like get the thing to drop into it and shit, you get the sound
You
out.
sneeze on those things, they're gonna
You sneeze on it and they
explode.
sound like shit. Yeah, it's amazing. I love it because I have to pay attention to the thing playing it. I can't just push play and walk away.
Right.
I have to be like, hey,
Yeah.
I have to babysit this fucking thing for the next 3 minutes.
Take care of something. It's like
Yeah, take care of something.
I genuinely like that. Like I like having to like work a little bit
Yeah.
for it,
Yeah.
right?
I
Like
think it makes me pay attention to it better somehow.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
vinyl makes me pay more attention to the music I'm
I
listening
agree.
than if I listen
Yeah.
to it on YouTube. I'm real frivolous about it sometimes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it has a lot to do with. I think it has a lot to do with ritual. That I think
Ritual.
that a lot of contemporary. This is going to get me into. You guys are going to get me on a whole freaking tangent here, but like a lot of
Uh-oh.
contemporary media consumption is no longer ritualistic.
Mm-mm.
So this is
Yeah.
stuff like pushing play on Netflix and just having it play in the background or whatever it is. Versus like you were talking about when you were a kid, you had to go to the video store, you had to rent the
Right.
thing, you had to walk it back, you had to sit there and put the tape in, play it, you'd play it. You have to participate with the actual device and actually take steps of like your physical body. Like literally, you have to move your physical body to get this thing to actually play. It won't just do it by itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that
And
adds value.
on top of that, there wasn't a whole bunch of overstimulus occurring around me while
No.
that happened either. Like I wasn't having like all the other things that we deal with now, like your phone and
Yeah.
you knowing all this stuff's going on. You've got to get back to these people, all that kind of stuff. It would be me locked into a world suddenly.
Yes.
And records used to be that way too. I would put a record on, lay on the floor and listen to it, like really, especially my early awakenings into like heavy 70s music and stuff. I would
Mhm.
listen to those records so in depthly more than I would. Sometimes I'll be on YouTube and I might give the song a minute before I
Yeah.
switch it or something. If I don't immediately, if
Yeah,
it doesn't immediately get me, I'm like next. It's like being on a buffet or something.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
when really
No
I should
buffets.
scale it back and give each song a little more breathing room. You know, but
Yeah,
Exactly.
I kind of have this talent of my own, like with like I can go on Bandcamp and I can listen to about 3 minutes of an album. I can tell you a lot about the album very suddenly.
yeah.
But it is extrapolation. Yeah, I can extrapolate like kind of
Oh yeah.
what people are doing.
Oh man, same here. I can like identify so many of the influences, what's happening with
Yeah,
this band, where they're going,
Yeah.
what the songs are going to be like, what like
the kind of structure
that's
of the
what.
album.
Yeah, totally. That and that's a
The
lot because
DNA.
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
over absorbed music. You know what I
mm,
mean? You're
Yes.
the type of person, I'm the type of person who's went well beyond a normal listener's means. You know what I mean? Like we've went well beyond that. Like I know that you have very diverse tastes and you know that I do too. That's one
yeah,
thing that we bond on, I think,
yeah,
is that we're not just like those like metal only type people or anything like that. Even beyond that, I think we both go way far out from that,
yeah.
Well,
and
you could
More
say
than
you're
metal,
into more
baby.
than metal.
Yeah.
I'm so
More than metal.
adventurous, like, yeah, there's more out there, amazing. But
One of
I
my
mean, I want to hear it all.
one of my favorite conversations I ever had with someone on like Instagram through messages with was this is years back. Because I follow all the guys from the Sword on there, including like, and Brian Ritchie, the bassist. And I met them a few times. So my buddy did an album cover for them, so I met them a few times. And he was on there, and he has like stuff he's listening to, and he had Janet Jackson's Control on, and I
Wow.
was like, dude, fuck yeah, like that album rocks. And we sat there and like
Yes.
messaged each other for about an hour talking about how good Control is and why
Ugh.
Control is
Yeah,
a
man.
better album than Thriller.
There's so much to be appreciated about so many types of music.
Yes,
Like
Oh yeah.
I mean, like I can pretty much listen to something and immediately tell you if I'm going to like it or not.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But I
And
need to
there's
hear it.
there's
I like to
even
hear it.
and one of the things Bill and I do on the show is called the swap, where he'll
Oh,
give me a
so fun.
record and I've never heard before. He loves, and he'll give me a record that I'll give him a record that he's never heard before, and we come back and kind of talk about what our reactions to it. And Bill's given me stuff that like I would say I don't care for, but I'll be like, I can see what they're doing. I try to get into it, try to
Yeah,
understand where they're coming from. Um, you know, and I don't talk shit on them, but I will like be critical of it and
Oh
be like,
yeah.
here's where I'm kind of falling apart on and why I don't like it as much. But if people like it, they like it. That's
mhm.
cool. And I think that's a really key element is like trying to be like sympathetic to the aesthetics of others of what they're
Yeah.
engaged in. Why would people like this? Like, oh, okay, I kind of get it.
Well, I think you have to kind of internalize that too. Like if you're like us, an adventurous music listener, then you know that there's several genres outside of your main genre that you also
Oh
have
yeah.
enjoyed. And therefore there must be other people who enjoy exponential other genres, like and you have to respect that kind of in an overarching music fan way. Like you say, I don't want to directly talk shit about it, but I can tell you what I like and don't like about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I don't have to be like, fuck, like
Yeah.
take that kind of
There,
attitude with
there's a
it or
few
whatever.
bands I'm like that with.
Oh, everybody's got some bands that
There's a
they're
few
like, fuck.
bands
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
well, so for me personally, it's a genre. New metal for me is a very touchy subject because so
Oh
I
man.
I'm from
Yeah.
Merced, I'm from Merced, which is the dead center of California. So like to the south of us was Corn, the Bay Area with Deftones, up north with Papa Roach. Like I was the center of all of these bands coming through constantly. Um, I saw Papa Roach with Dropkick Murphys in my hometown at a fucking
Wow.
shit club. You
That's
know,
hilarious.
yeah, and it's like no one gave it. It was like 94, 95, something like that.
Yeah.
And
Before it hit.
like
Yeah.
yeah, and it was just like, these are guys just coming through, and then all of like 5, 6 years later, fucking cut my life to pieces. Like, it's absolutely insane. Um, but like, yeah, and for me with the new metal situation, it wasn't so much that I think like it's crap. I actually do think the first Korn album is quite good. And I think
Oh yeah.
Deftones really evolved and did quite good. The problem was it was just the saturation of it. And I
There's
think
so fucking much.
and if you go and read like the histories of new metal, like it was like an arms race. Like, every label was signing like one new metal band a month, and they were
Yeah,
just
man.
flooding the market because like we
Well,
can't miss out. We can't miss out.
it was such a desperate moment too, man.
Yeah, desperate moments.
Because
A very good way to
we
put
had
it.
kind of
Good way of putting
alternative
it.
had came and gone and it kind of crashed and like you were left with like total butt rock bands.
Butt rock.
Like that was where it
Oh,
was,
Yeah,
like just shit rock bands that really we all thought sucked. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously. And then there was no metal had died to a point where in the US, and maybe not in Europe, but in the US, it was quite, it was rare that you were hearing anybody talk about heavy metal or anything like that.
No,
And
you
so
really were. Yeah.
I feel like new metal kind of swept in for the kids to be that thing, even though I didn't like it and lots of people didn't like it. I think it just filled this giant void, and that's how
Yeah.
that came to be, the power that it was because it came on overnight. It felt
Yeah,
like I
it
know all
really
those bands
did.
existed, but they blew it up in this way that was just
Yeah,
crazy.
because I really didn't see Korn on MTV like for a while until like the
Yeah,
second album really. But the first album, my friends were blasting it left and right. The fucking funniest one is the first time I ever heard Limp Bizkit. My friend had come back from a concert in Fresno, so in Fresno, California, back in like the mid '90s. And he's like, "Yo, man, I went to that concert this weekend. It was dope." Check out this opening. And he had this demo tape of Limp Bizkit put it on. I thought it was pretty interesting, right? He saw Limp Bizkit opening for fucking Primus.
That's
that's wild.
crazy.
And I hate to break it to you, but Primus is a better band than any of those guys. Like,
Oh yeah, Promise is sick.
Primus
That's
Whoa,
crazy.
is
whoa, you're saying some crazy
crazy
stuff
shit.
here,
Yeah,
How
John.
dare you, man?
yeah, that was Primus is one of those bands where like, I think Trevor put it best where he took his bassist dad to see Primus when he was a kid. His dad was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, how the hell is this guy doing all this shit? I played bass on
Yeah.
all these all these albums, and like I have no idea how this guy's doing this shit. And I think that's the fun. That's always like the fun part is when you go see that band. You're like, how are they doing that? Like I have an idea of how music works somewhat. I may not be a musician, but I have an idea of what the human
Yeah.
body is capable of. And here's
Man, I
Les
think
Claypool playing like,
Promise is like one of those like super rare examples of an actual original band. I mean,
yeah,
like with an
Yes.
original sound that's only
yes,
theirs, and
it's
like
only
it's an
theirs.
amalgam of so many things, but it only functions within their world. There's not another band that's doing that. I mean,
No,
ever.
and
But
and
there's not going
and
to be another band.
and longevity and
Yeah,
consistently solid albums.
yeah,
I remember first hearing Pork Soda at junior high. Someone got access to like we had like a big like kind of a PA system that we could bring that they would bring out occasionally for like during lunch to play in the quad. And one of the kids managed to get on it and put Pork Soda on.
Oh my
Oh wow.
God.
Like, and we listened to fucking. I mean, we were listening to like Mr. Crinkle on. We weren't listening to like My Name Is Mud, like Mr. Crinkle,
Yeah.
and like people
Wow.
were fucking freaking out. And I
Like
think
what
that
is that?
and of all the things to appeal, like Primus is weird and middle schoolers are weird, so it just kind of works like peanut butter and jelly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, no, but yeah, the new metal thing was a trip, and I think you're right. The void is a big thing here, and
Yeah, man.
I feel like we're those
Marilyn
voids we kind of
Manson too. I want to say Marilyn Manson was like around here in the
yeah.
rural area, like in the South. Marilyn Manson was the first of any of that you really seen have any major predominance.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
suddenly out of nowhere, there are all these kids with those Marilyn Manson
Yeah.
shirts. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how that happened really. Like I don't really understand. It seemed quite
That was a
organic in a
trip.
way,
That was
but
a
it was everywhere, man.
fuck yeah, it was. So Manson's an interesting case. So Bill and I will come out and say we're not big fans of Manson. Like
I will hold my tongue. This is not the
he will hold
Trevor
his tongue.
episode.
This is like Trevor. Well, we're not conducive, we'll say.
Right.
You know
Um,
what? Actually, fuck it. I don't like Manson.
yeah, I don't like
Sorry.
Man. We don't like him. We don't like him.
Look,
I
man,
never.
I'm not big on it either, but
Yeah.
I did see him on Antichrist,
Yeah.
and
There's a lot to be said about Manson.
it
Yeah, of
was
course.
that good. It
Oh
was
no.
good. I was
I
like, and I didn't even like the music. I was like, Jesus, this is a wild
Oh
thing.
yeah,
These
he
kids
can
are
put on a
like,
show. Don't get me wrong.
it
Yeah,
was like he was like brainwashing an entire
yeah.
arena full of children in this way that was like really impressive.
So my
But the music's not for me.
yeah, to me it was kind of derivative because
Same with the
I
guy, not a fan. That's the guy.
yeah,
So
to me it was interesting because I had friends who were in goth and industrial because we were talking about like before this came on we talked about like you were talking about Electric Hellfire Club and like
yeah,
that kind of stuff and I was really into that stuff. So when Manson kind of came on, I had been into Nine Inch Nails and even Nails as to me is a little derivative. Like I think some of the early
oh yeah,
Nails
man.
songs is derivative like Skinny Puppy for sure. Um,
Sure, the ministry stuff, all
the
that stuff.
Ministry
Like
stuff, all that
that's
stuff.
where it all comes from. Yeah,
But then when Manson came out, I was like, this is like really a little bit contrived, and I kind of get what he's doing. It is very much like over the top shock rock. But my first real exposure to him was fun. Like first time I ever actually heard an album, like versus just kind of hearing about, seeing a T-shirt here and there, was at this like Mormon girl's house. This Mormon
Whoa.
girl had like they had this they had this big house here in town. It was like a big 6 bedroom house, one of the bigger houses in my town. My town's not pretty rural, we'll say. And but she lived in this big house, and they had like a pool house out in the back that had like an apartment kind of situation in it.
Mhm.
And she had like all her CDs kind of hidden back there, and had like Maryland
Interesting.
had was a Portrait of an American Family, I think it was.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Um,
Oh wow.
and
In on the ground level.
yeah, really early shit. And like,
Yeah.
I don't think Antichrist Superstar. I think Antichrist Superstar was Get Ready to come out, and
Yeah.
was playing it and really into it. And I remember listening to it and being like, eh. I was like, I get what he's doing, but musically this isn't interesting me. But she was more interested in kind of the pushback it had to her, like culturally.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And I think
man.
that's what his big appeal was.
That's
That
what it
he could.
was.
It was a
You're
shock. It
right.
was a
I
shock.
mean,
It was shock. Yeah,
somehow
shock rock.
somehow those kids were able to be exposed to that and understand that their parents completely hated it,
Mm.
all like at the same within the same like 3 to 6 month period of time when
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
thing exploded. You know what I mean? And then Antichrist came out, and then that was like huge. I
it
mean,
was huge.
I'm in Kentucky, and I saw him in Lexington, Kentucky, in like whatever year that was, 96 or 97. When did that album come out? I can't remember.
Antichrist Superstar was 96.
Yeah. Okay, so we're there in basically rural Kentucky, in Lexington, Kentucky, in an arena full of people singing their own bands.
Yeah,
Wow.
You're like, what's going on? That's wild.
yeah,
But
that
when I
was a
first heard it, I agree. I was bored with it, or immediately, like it didn't do anything for me. I'd already heard like all the other stuff: Skinny Puppy, Ministry,
yes.
Laibach, Fotis, all that stuff.
Otis,
Like
good
I'd already been
call.
through all that stuff. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So, same with Nine Inch Nails. I thought it was slightly derivative and like, it didn't
yeah,
impress me that much.
yeah. The early Neil stuff, I do think they're
Yeah.
good, but they are like, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but like Down in It sounds just like Dig It to me. And
Oh
Dig It's a
yeah,
better
man.
song.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and but I get
Absolutely.
I get where the appeal was, and once again, I think the people I saw listen to Marilyn Manson. So my goth friends did not listen to Marilyn Manson. That was trippy.
Right. Absolutely.
They were all listening to much more sophisticated stuff, much more interesting. Incubus, Succubus, freaking listen to Bauhaus, listen to all this other stuff. That was much. We were much more into that. But then all the other kids were kind of like, well, this is something we can latch onto very quickly. And because it's getting popular and it's name recognition, people can now see our identity very quickly.
Right. Yeah.
And
It gave them a group. It
it
gave
gave
them
them
a
a
group to
group.
be a
It
part
gave
of
them a
them
tribe.
quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gave them a tribe.
immediately. And
I
I feel like they tried to do this, not to skip too far forward, but
no,
I
sure.
feel like they tried to do this and were somewhat successful early on with doing this with Cradle of Filth as well.
I think Cradle Fist.
Like
Yeah,
through Hot Topic and the mall culture, you've
yeah,
seen so many more of those shirts around these kind of areas, which I think is a tester. Like the outside of the cities area, when you start seeing it there, they've managed something. You know what I mean? They've done
yeah.
some kind of thing marketing wise that you don't understand.
No, I agree. That's actually something Bill and I talked about too. Is like this idea of like you have bands that like. I mean, here's my question. Right, the eternal question I've had for decades now is what is the ratio of Misfits shirts sold versus Misfits albums?
I know, I always wonder that too.
Like it's gotta
And
it's gotta be like 10 to 1, if not 20 to 1.
what's weird about that too, man, is that I feel like Danzig, um, who I'm let me just say a huge fan of.
Oh yeah, great.
I mean, ridiculous fan of. Was basically a Danzig cult member in my youth, 100%. Um, it seems like he's made it kind of hard to tell what's gone on with the Misfits records. Like there's weird releases of them. They've been
Yeah,
bootlegged out the wazoo.
yeah,
It seems like he's kind of allowed that by not making sure they're all available all the
yeah,
time. Same with Sam Hain stuff. It's
yeah.
like it feels like he purposely keeps that unavailable to people again.
I have a few theories on that. I will say this that one thing I do know about Danzig is so my friends at comic artists worked for Danzig in the 90s as a comic artist, and he said one of the weird, it wasn't a bad thing, but it was kind of different for him at the time,
Mhm.
was that when Danzig had as a comic artist, my friend had worked for DC and Marvel a little bit here and there. He said Danzig was the only time I ever worked for a comic book company where they were like, we will pay you a bunch of money and we keep all the original artwork.
Wow.
And so Danzig must have this. I mean, and he was also like with Simon Beasley. I mean, these major
Oh, so
guys.
he probably has sheets on all that
He's
stuff.
got
Yeah.
tons
Yeah.
of early stuff from these guys who
Wow.
went on to be huge in late 90s, early 2000s.
Incredible.
And so like, there's going to be a hell of an estate sale one day, buddy. Like,
Yeah, man,
you know,
for sure.
um, and I think that like Danzig kind of, and I think that kind of lends itself to Danzig's attitude about like I can hold on to these things as a
Yeah,
collector, even even
right. And I
even
know,
collect myself.
yeah, he's a toy. I know he was a toy collector at least in
Oh
the
yeah, huge,
80s and 90s. I
huge,
don't know if
huge.
he still actively collects toys, but I've seen those pictures, and those stories where he traded some guy a bunch of rare Sam Hain stuff for some insane Japanese toy lots and stuff
Yeah,
like that. I've seen those pictures of him in his Sam Hain gear with the toys and stuff,
yeah, yeah.
like
That's a
Shogun
whole.
Assassins or something.
Hold on for a second.
I always wondered if that played into it too. Like kind of
I
what you're
mean,
saying is like he wanted to make sure it was obsessively collected, like
Yeah,
in this way that's like they're hard to get. Only certain people are going to get their hands on them. I think he like really like that, especially with the Misfits and Sam Hain.
yeah. And the thing about it is like he wants to do it, he can do it. Like I totally,
Yeah,
I'm,
I
to-
mean,
I'm totally game for it, man.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever he wants to do. It's yeah, because he's been doing a lot of stuff with Cleopatra Records,
Yeah,
which was I thought was really interesting. That's a label
hmm.
that's a label I know from my goth days, like goth industrial
Yeah,
stuff.
man.
Some of the best stuff is coming
This
out.
Hellfire Club was on Cleopatra
Yeah,
originally,
Cleopatra.
I believe. It
Yeah,
is. Yeah, Cleopatra right there.
exactly. And so now Cleopatra's got this like thing where like they have a lot of weird kind of recordings, and they've been getting like they've been doing some weird stuff lately. I'll say that, but like it's interesting. But they were getting like signed. Like you could go on their site and get like a signed Danzig record, like
Yeah,
readily.
I
So he's
feel
gonna have
like
a
I,
contract.
I feel like Cleopatra's like the alt Rhino or something.
Yeah, alt Rhino. I think that's a good way to put it.
You know what I
Alt
mean? Like
Rhino.
they've got so much under their banner. It's so all over the place, and they have so many different
Yeah,
releases and
like
weird
fucking
things they do.
like they have Danzig on one page, and the next page they have like Anne Margaret,
Yeah, like
and you're like,
it's
what
like
the?
Rhino. Yeah,
You're
they're
like, what
just
the
picking up
fuck?
things
Like,
and releasing.
okay,
It's great.
that's a spread here.
so we were just talking about how like kind of what was the Spotify thing? The
Oh, the mood
mood
machine. Yeah, mood
something.
machine. The idea like Spotify had these lists that were like, here's
The
like
mood machine,
yeah, the
yeah.
music to study by. Here's music to like do housework by. And
I see.
they were initially
Yeah,
basically what
mood
I'm reading is
machine.
they were initially curated lists, and the goal wasn't to like be the next big like pop
Yeah,
star. The goal was to get your song on that playlist, and so people would start building tracks to get that playlist. Well, then they started
yeah,
automating the playlist, and then now Spotify is basically AI generating music based on those
Right.
playlists. So it's kind
Ah,
of like it's like super like self-fulfilling and very distilled
which is
essentially. Which
crazy.
is yeah, no,
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
fucking it's dystopian as
it's
fuck, dude.
sterilized.
It's
Yeah, that's very
sterilized, yeah.
dystopian.
Oh, yeah, it's
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cleopatra and here's like Danzig next to Missing Persons, next to William Shatner, next to
Yeah,
UFO.
man, you fuck with the missing persons at all? You like that shit?
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I like that. I like that
I
stuff.
know I think all
I'm big
that
on new wave and new wave rock, though.
I think the
I
new wave's
love that
good,
stuff.
man.
Yeah,
We'll go with this and well Bill gets such weird.
sure.
Yeah, the new wave stuff's really good, man. I think that I think people look at back at it and think of it as like quote unquote 80s pop music, which some of it is, but
Yeah,
it's trying something. It's still punk, but they're like, hey, like we have access to these electronics now readily, and but we're trying to like create some sort of weird imagery, which I really dug about it. Like,
yeah,
um, and I think that was one thing I always liked about like Gary Newman
yeah,
was
man.
that he was really painting these like landscapes of shit. I mean, it was bizarre stuff. And but yeah, Missing Persons, Berlin,
Yeah, that stuff's great.
who's the other? Oh, Human League.
Yeah,
Human League's still like going strong too, man. Like it's kind of wild seeing like a lot of these guys are doing it. And I feel like new wave musicians tend to have like these like long like they can have like longevity for some reason, you
yeah,
know?
I can see that. But at the same time, there don't seem to be that many legacy new wave artists.
I think
You
it's
know, like,
turned into like synth wave and dark wave.
mhm.
But as far as legacy, like yeah, you don't. I do see a little bit of it here, but I don't see a lot of it.
Yeah, you
Let
don't
me
hear too
maybe
much
actually
about.
clarify. Could you clarify for me what you mean by legacy? Because I might be
Like,
misunderstanding that.
I think if you were going to go into like new wave legacy groups or artists, you would have to say stuff like that's really more the pop thing, like Billy Idol Cyndi
Mm,
Lauper.
yeah.
Those would be new wave artists that broke through to a point of legacy where
Right.
she can still go out and do the tour, like every year she could do her tour
Hmm.
and people are going to go see that. Billy Idol's the same way. But then I think in new wave, it
Okay.
seems like you have a huge lower level of like one or two hit bands that didn't go,
Yeah.
never
Hmm.
ascended to that thing. There's so many of those, like
Yeah.
heavy metal has some really giant heroes. You know what I mean? We're
Yeah. There's a
lucky in that
lot of heroes.
respect. There's a hall of hero bands. I don't think new wave just doesn't have that. It didn't last long enough.
I think there's an interest in it again.
It just becomes pop.
No, it does, and it does become popular. I think there's an interest in
All
it
right.
again with things like the band that really struck me when I was living in Los Angeles back in 2010, 2012. The band that was really big around there that kind of had that vibe was Geneva Jacuzzi.
Okay, I don't know if
And
I know that.
she was doing like performance art with like new wave music. Or she called it like
Okay,
bedroom kind of pop or Casio pop. Like it was like
that's
it
very
was very
interesting.
it was very lo-fi, but it was really interesting. She's still performing. She had a new album come out a year or two ago. It's very good. And it's weird. It kind of like
Interrupt.
it's a more approachable like Lena Lovitch kind of
Okay,
sound.
okay. Now I
Yeah.
love Linovich. So
Did you see she's
Hello.
touring
yeah, I thought that was
with
amazing.
fucking Devo and
She's like an
B-52s?
artist right on the edge. Like enough people know her name, I think.
Yeah. Lena Lovitch, I feel like she never quite got over the cusp of like hitting like mainstream success, but like
Yeah,
everyone knows she's like an artist.
yeah, and she had videos that were
She
very
had
popular
videos.
as well on MTV and stuff. I think that's a big part of it for the era, like how
Mhm.
far your video might have gone, or
Yeah.
how far your image could get out
Your
there to
image
people to
together.
run with that song.
Yeah, and
Um,
but I always felt like she kind of got like she got lumped in, and rightfully so, I think with Nina Hagen and such. Um, and
yeah,
I always kind of saw them
but
as like side by side, or people would be like, you really couldn't have one without the other. It felt like, but I always felt like they were distinct enough.
man, I feel like Nina Hagen is somebody who I've always wanted to like more than I actually like
Yeah.
it. Like the music, like I love the representation of it. I love her vibe and
Hmm.
like kind of how she is. And in small increments, I think it's incredible. But when I put on an album of hers, which I have a few, and they're just okay. It's not great.
Yeah.
Lena Lovitch though, like it's like I love those. Those are real songs. It's real stuff.
Yeah. Bill, you want to chime in with something here?
Yes.
Sorry.
So no worries. It's all good. I did so back onto the topic of the kind of mood machine and
Yeah, yeah.
Spotify-ness of modern music. I just did want to ask. So when you sit down to listen to something new, how does that go? Like, do you get yourself into a specific mindset? Do you have to remind yourself of like different things of like, hey, I actually have to listen to this all the way through? Like, what are you looking for?
Right.
What does it look like to you?
I think that's all like situational and depends on what I have to listen to or what
Yeah.
I'm trying to listen to. If this is something that I already know that I'm very interested in, like let's say Judas Priest comes out with a new album. I'm a big Judas Priest fan.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
find time in that day when I get that album
Mm-hmm.
or around sometime in that
Mm,
day where I can be alone and I can listen to my stereo by myself. I
yeah.
don't really share that first listen, especially if it's an album I'm excited about with anybody else. Maybe if there was another super Judas Priest fan next to you, that's fine. But mostly, I want to just absorb that album. So I'm going to take time out of my day when I get that album, sit down in front of the stereo, listen to it, look at the packaging. You know what I mean? I'm going to do
Yeah.
all that stuff.
You want the
That
ritual. You want the
yeah,
ritual.
Yeah.
that's the extreme part of that side. The other side would be, and like, am I? Yeah, I know. Like, am I going to listen? Do I have to listen to this entire album? Why am I listening to this? Is this a friend's project that I have to listen to? For like a feedback thing or something like that. Because then you have to make. If it's like if my buddy sends me a song from their mix, and it's like, hey, check this out for me. I have to take time out to actually do that.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to listen to it for 2 seconds and go, hey, sounds great, man. Like I'm going to listen to the song from my friend because he's asking me to do that. And
Yeah, he
Yeah.
wants a real
that
opinion. Yeah. He wants a
if
real
it's an
opinion.
album online that I'm just checking out, like unfortunately, I might skip through some of it. You know,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
the song doesn't grab me, I might skip through it. Man, I hate to be that way. If
No,
I own
sounds
it on
great.
vinyl and I'm sitting here with it in my hand, I might listen to it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But that's my
I
ritual. Like
totally agree.
I'll commit that time to the albums that I'm either very excited about or that there's some major reason for me to really pay that much attention to. Otherwise, if I'm going to listen to music for enjoyment, I'm probably going to listen to something I already know and like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is that. I always kind of get worried about, and that's a big thing I worry about is like I don't want to be a guy that just sits there and listens to the same thing over and over and over again.
Oh, totally.
Um,
I'll get in my head about it sometimes. Like,
yeah,
am I not listening to enough new stuff?
yeah.
Am I just listening to the same old playlist I made?
I had
Yeah.
that issue. So I was at we talked about Merciful Fate earlier. So I saw King Diamond live a few years ago, and that's when one of our favorite bands, Unto Others, was opening for him.
Mm.
And dude, these guys in front of me, they're older. They're probably like in their 50s. Dude, they were bitching about Unto Others. They were like, "Oh, this why are these guys opening for
Jesus.
Diamond? Like, fuck these guys. This isn't heavy metal." And I'm sitting there like,
Jeez.
and I'm like, I mean, they were like open. I was getting pissed. Like, I was like, "What the fuck? Dude, these guys are good. Like, this is a good band." And it
Yeah,
matches the
incredible.
vibe. It's a different sound, but I'm like, and you once another got done and they're kind of between sets, these guys are going on. And I'm like, you guys basically have this thing where you're like, you heard King Diamond, Merciful Fate in the 80s. It was awesome for you. It changed you, but you're chasing that same exact feeling again
Yeah,
and again and
yeah,
again instead of being like, well, what else can the world offer me? And it's
yeah,
like, another one. I remember there was a conversation too about, so one of my favorite bands is Attic. Out of
yeah.
I think Attic's one of the
Yeah.
best horror metal bands out there. And people are, oh, there's like, King Diamond ripoff and all that shit. And someone commented and said, "Hey, I need to tell you something. I need to tell you a hard truth. King Diamond will not be alive forever. Like,
Right.
Oh
he will
yeah.
not be recording forever. And like, if you like that style and you want that style to continue, you have to have that people are going to be like, okay, we're going to take our version of it. And Attic doesn't. I will admit, like the vocalist does sound like King
Yeah,
Diamond, but
yeah,
like musically, it is black and thrash. That is not a
Yeah.
King
yeah.
Diamond style
Yeah,
of
it's
play.
not the
He does
same for
not
sure.
do songs like that at all. And so, and it's like the reason why you think this sounds like King Diamond is because you have a very fundamentally superficial interaction with King Diamond. Like,
Yeah. It
because
absolutely
yeah,
is.
hit drum go loud thing. I mean, it's that. So I think that's a really interesting kind of like we need to be more conscientious of stuff. Not one, these guys aren't gonna last forever. Two, that like we can evolve and we can try new things and we can still listen to that old stuff and be like, hey, this is awesome. These guys are awesome. This is great.
I mean,
But
there's definitely a segment of the community who have that negative like pushback of like the good old endless good old days.
yeah,
The good old days.
This was better. It depends on which decade they grew up in. Is when this good old day period exists, pretty much. But
Yeah.
I think that's a very negative and backwards way to look at stuff. I
yeah,
try really hard not to get into that. Like if I get bored with what's going on, I try definitely not to be in like, oh, well, music was better when I was a kid because
yeah,
your exposure is so much different then, man, than your
Yeah.
exposure now. Like my exposure now is based on my exposure then, so that's already a different situation. But there's such a segment of people. I agree that I don't know if I call it gatekeeping as much as it's just an overall negative thing against the new musics that are
yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
You know,
I
Damn new timers. Yeah. Like
whatever. Yeah,
it's that
yeah, man. I
exact
mean,
thing.
exactly. Like, I mean, it just I've been in it. I'll be 50 this year, so I've been in it for a
oh wow,
while. And I remember when the old grumpy people were saying that about the music I was liking that
yeah.
was new. I remember playing thrash metal for my uncles who like Black Sabbath, and then being like, "What the hell is this?" You know what I mean? Like they didn't get it.
Yeah. We
It's
lost
fast
rock. It's all gone.
music, as a youth, and that's you have to you really got to bring that perspective back in and not get in that old
Yeah.
timer thing. So it's such a negative headspace. Heavy metal's rife with it, I think.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Like a
it's
lot of
wild.
it, Yeah,
Yeah,
In anything that's like niche, you're gonna have a lot of people who are like not kind of like being kind of elitist, but it's also just
yeah.
like unchanging and like not
In a
embracing like
in a way though too,
yeah.
there's like this like it's like ignorant elitist on top of that. Like there's like
Yes.
an because they're like unwilling to even check out the bands.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're unmovable in all new band
Well,
stuff
then
kind of
you also
situation. And you're like,
you also
there's
get
so much
shit.
out there, man.
You also get this shit where like you'll have a legacy band, so a band's been around for a long time, and they'll put out a new album, and people will just be like, they won't listen to it. They want to listen to the old stuff, and I'm like, it get pretty good. One of those that popped up for me a few years back was Tears for Fears released that album Tipping Point,
Oh yeah,
and that's a fucking good album. This came out like
yeah,
what
it's a good one.
2 3 years ago, and it was
Yeah,
like, dude, like they came back with a really good album. I think that Heart's Beautiful Broken that came out a few
Yeah,
years ago, fucking great album. Like it's
it's a
more
fire album.
that album is like that's their best like Zeppelin worship album like I've
oh
ever
wow,
heard.
Oh yeah,
It's Zeppelin worship, and it's good. I think that like when we get locked into that the band was only good at this one time,
it's
that's
just a
really shitty. Now, don't get me
yeah,
wrong,
yeah,
there
man.
are legacy bands that have put out shit records.
Yeah,
Um,
well, that's the other side of it, right?
yeah,
Like that, there's probably 50% of these bands do put out shit records, and it
yeah,
does suck.
right.
So I get why people would be like, there's a negative connotation to it, but more, my issue more is on just them not checking out
No,
new
yeah,
bands. Like that's what I don't like because there's just so
yeah,
damn many new
yeah.
bands
yeah,
in every genre that are great.
yeah,
And
and
there's so much good. Why are
there
you
is a lot of
ignoring
good.
it?
There's a lot
Yeah.
of good bands. Like I
And it
can
just keeps going. I mean, they just keep piling on. It just keeps going forever.
yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like every year I discover at least like six new bands that I think are like these guys are the top of the shit. This is unreal how good this actually is.
Yeah.
Um, and like I mean, I discover a lot of new bands, but there's some that I'm just like blown away by. And it's usually the
yeah.
first album or two. You're like, holy shit! Like where's this been? And I think that's really cool when you have like that. I still I think as I think the problem is that people are looking back to old stuff and trying to nostalgia for when they got blown away by an album instead of
Yeah.
being like, I can still be blown away by a new album, dude. Like, don't chase
Yeah.
that feeling from like 30 years ago. You need to go and try to find a new rendition of that now.
And are you even giving that new album a shot like
Are
you
you
gave
giving it
those
a fair
old albums?
shot?
Are you giving it a
Exactly.
real shot? Are you putting it in the
You know,
car
I
and driving an
yeah,
hour or
there
two checking that album out for real? Probably not.
no. There was the new Helm's Deep album. Like
Oh,
I like the first one a lot. I started listening to the second one. The first song on the first one on this new one, I did not care for. Like it kind of put me
okay.
off. And I was like, ah, fuck. But I was like, I'll keep on. I have the record. I'll keep on listening to it. And the rest of it was great. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's
But
a good
like,
record.
it was a good record. Yeah. And I think you have to be kind of a sympathetic. You have to give them a shot. And I think that a lot of people, because of the instant like jump and gratification we can get through stuff like Spotify, I'm on
Yeah.
Spotify and something comes up and I don't like it. I say, fuck it. And I can just move on
Yeah.
to, I can
Too
go
many
back to
other
my
options.
love. Yeah, I can go back to have something that I know is going to be good. And, I can go back and listen to fucking Rock Around the Clock if I want to or some shit.
Yeah,
That's right.
But
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
it's like, it's a good song, but like, there's other stuff
It's
out
killer.
there. So I don't know, man. I think it's, uh, I've been to some festivals where I'm like, oh, these guys are dope. This is cool. This blew my mind. The band that blew me away. I'll tell you the one band that this involves your buddy Nicholas Burke. Um, was when I went to the Lucifer Coven tour, and I
Yeah.
love Lucifer and I love Coven, but I had never really sat down and listened to Early Moods. And my
Oh
nephew
yeah.
and I walked into the room and we're watching Early Moods and we're like, what the fuck? Like this is nuts. Like, you
Yeah.
know, and we're like, this band does not sound like Lucifer. It does not sound like Coven. That's
No.
great. And I think I think that was my problem with those guys who were bitching about Unto Others at the King Diamond show was like, dude, it's not gonna having all your bands sound the same on a
I
ticket
know. Why?
sucks.
That shit sucks.
That is boring as
I,
fuck. That's why, like, I think the greatest tour that never happened didn't happen. It was planned, didn't happen. Was fucking Public Enemy and Sisters of Mercy.
Oh my
oh man, I know
Would
god.
this
have
this
been
legendary story.
I
yeah.
would have killed to
That
see that.
I have a
Love both of
bootleg
these
T-shirt of that
bands
shit.
a lot. I
What's
love
that?
these bands, both these bands,
Yeah. Oh, and they both
like
bring
hugely.
fucking something
Yeah,
Oh,
different, and
yeah,
then you had in the 90s, the big tour for us that did happen was it was Wu-Tang Clan, Rage Against the Machine, and Atari Teenage Riot.
that would
wow,
have. Oh my god.
And those are three bands that do not sound like each other, but they
No.
fucking work. They all have the same kind of energy. And like, dude, and I had friends that went to it and they were like, dude, Atari Teenage Riot was fucking nuts. I had no clue. And I had people who were like, Wu-Tang Clan is dope. I had no clue. Oh, Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, I can listen to Rage Against the Machine. Like, and I think that's the beauty is trying to get people to expand
That's a
taste.
good lineup.
So that's why, like, when you guys are going to open for GWAR, it's like, I mean, yeah, you're trying to get access to that audience. By all means, that's your message.
yeah,
But like, you guys don't sound like GWAR. you don't
No,
sound like Helmet.
nothing like that.
I don't know who the fuck sounds like Helmet, but like
Helmet sounds like Helmet.
Helmet sounds no. I was listening to some of it earlier while we were doing the interview, and I was like, God damn, like what the fuck's the sound like?
Like, what is this?
So that's so cool, and like we can kind of like mix and match, and there's gonna be people that come to that show and be like, "Yeah, Star Wars Master, it was okay. It's not for me." And
Yeah,
I think that's a big thing is that people need to stop doing this shit. Where like, oh, that band sucks because you didn't necessarily enjoy it, but you should be like, you know what, I didn't enjoy it, and that's okay.
But
yeah.
that's okay, and
Isn't
I
it
guarantee
all right
there's
to
somebody
just
in the
not like
audience who did.
Yeah, I get what it is and what it wants
Yeah.
to be. I'm trying to like. There's very infrequently do I put something on and I'm like, holy shit, that fucking sucked. Like that was a waste of my time.
Usually when I'm exposed to something that really sucks, I already know it's coming and I already know it sucks.
That's
You
fair.
brace yourself.
It's something that's usually
Yeah.
being played for me as like, oh, listen to this, like,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be like,
Mhm.
oh shit.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're kind of against time here, Adam. This has been a lot of fun, dude. I'm glad we got
been really
Yeah, it's been
fun.
great. Thanks, man.
Yeah, well, I hope you had a pleasant time with
Absolutely.
Bill and
Good
myself
times.
here.
Yeah.
And we covered a lot of ground here. We covered
A lot of strange ground.
this ended up being a lot about taste and kind of how taste operates.
Yeah.
Feel, which is kind of a
It did,
cool
actually.
topic, and I think
Yeah.
that like this is I have a friend that teaches college back east in Pennsylvania, and he says one of the problems he has with the students is like he'll kind of ask like they can see he's a heavy metal dude. He's got tattoos. He does heavy metal album covers. He's big into it, and they'll ask, "Are you into heavy metal?" He's like, yeah, I'm into these bands. This band is my taste and all this stuff like that. And he's like, "Well, who do you listen to?" And they can name a few things, but they can't really articulate their taste.
Right.
And this is a concern of mine because I feel like not being able to like articulate taste is like where you kind of fall into the dregs of things like being submissive to the algorithm, being submissive to AI, being submissive to things that just kind of, you're too passive and you just get acted upon versus being like, no, dude, you are a person and you have power in this environment as a listener, as a fan, to actually engage. And that's why I like doing the interviews because from what I understand, Adam, and I bet you in person, you're a real person. Like
I exist.
Or so we think.
So we
Or
think,
so
I've
I
met it before.
perceive. Yeah.
So we see. But it's I think that like that's a big thing where I feel like a lot of artists can get very so removed or they become abstractions. They become spectacle, and that's a real danger. And not understand these are real people behind the scenes and such. So I don't know. I just this is a good conversation. I really enjoy this. Adam, do you have any
I did too.
Do you have any parting thoughts on you want to share with our audience before we walk away today?
Not particularly. I really appreciate you having me on. But no, not really. But to piggyback on what you were saying about like the people kind of separating from themselves and being somewhat sacrificed over to the thing, like as opposed to being a real person or whatever. We've been watching. Me and Stacey have been watching that series about the Sex Pistols called Pistol. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
I gotta watch it.
Very interesting because like we're on the last episode or two. It's only 5 or 6 episodes, I think. It's short, but it's the part where like Vivian Westwood is kind of realizing what they've done with Sydney. Like where she's like, "Oh, you guys have decided to just sacrifice him basically as a human being to this thing, knowing he can't." He becomes like beyond himself and like a kind of a self-perpetuating. You know how it goes with it.
And there's this quote, I can't remember who said that. I feel bad, I can't remember, but someone said the tragedy of Sid Vicious is that Sid Vicious bought into the idea of Sid Vicious.
Oh my God, yeah, man. Like totally. Like they talk about Jones talks about how when he got the nickname, he took that seriously. Like that meant he needed to be like this nasty shit guy or whatever. It's just like he's such a simple person. It's wild.
Buying into your own hype is one of the most dangerous things I see for like anyone.
Yeah,
definitely.
Period. And I
agree.
It's not just musicians. It's not just artists. It's like I think it is what the top. I think it's actually the number one problem amongst like this is a whole other conversation. I think amongst like the billionaires. Is that they buy into their own hype that they are this badass because they're surrounded by like sycophants.
They've inflated themselves to themselves.
They can play to themselves, and not being like understanding that like, no, bro, like that ain't it. So there's I think that being rooted And that's a big thing for me too, in terms of where I live. I still live in my hometown, rural,
Yeah, I
and
live
it's a
out
big
there.
thing. Yeah, it's a big thing to kind of keep rooted with the community and not like, blow smoke up your own ass and be like, oh, I'm better
Yeah,
than all
man.
you. So that,
Yeah. Remain a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
remain a person. Yeah.
Stay a person. That's just great
Yeah,
advice to
man.
be a person. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree,
Oh my
man.
gosh.
It is
That's good advice in these days. More people should take that,
Especially.
honestly,
Oh yeah.
and be a person.
be a person. I think
Yeah.
that's good. That's a good way to end this episode, man. All right,
Some
cool.
good
Well,
parting
All right,
words.
man.
Well, look, hey, if anyone out there is around in either Detroit, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Chicago, Cleveland here in September of 2025, in case you see the future, please go see GWAR with Savage Master opening.
Yes.
And
Please.
if you do see Helmet live, please tell me what they sound like because I can't describe it.
That's right.
Please do that homework for me. And please go check out Savage Master's album. You can get them on Bandcamp. You can get it wherever you like music. The newest one, Dark and Dangerous, is fantastic.
It's incredible.
Every album is actually
actually.
fucking
Thanks,
banger,
guys.
dude. I love
Thank you.
everything
Thank
you
you.
guys do. You're one of my favorite acts. That was like my real treat was the last time I saw you guys live at Frozen in Time, or not
Oh,
last
yeah.
time I saw you, before that. I got to see you guys and Spell live on the same stage in the day.
Right.
And the reason why that was cool is because you guys are my two favorite albums of the previous year. You're my top two.
Oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
that's
We
so
love
cool.
Spell. Good people
Spell's
right there.
fucking good, dude. Cam
Great
is like
band. Very cool.
Spell's
Very underrated band, I think.
underrated, super
Very
underrated.
creative, different band. Yeah, man.
Very different, but they rock. And like you can, that's another band where each song sounds different on the album.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot. But yeah, we love Savage Master, guys, and please, Adam, keep up the good work, man. You're a mensch.
Thanks, man.
We really appreciate you and everything. Everybody, thank you for listening to More Than Metal, man. We really appreciate your time here and hope you enjoyed the episode. Leave a comment, subscribe, whatever you got to do here. Go find us anywhere. You can find me everywhere online at Only Play Wizards. Bill,
Yeah.
can I find you anywhere? Are you online?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can find me at Bill J Crow VO on Instagram. Crow with an E, like the bird,
Like
but with
the
me at the
bird.
end of it.
If the bird had an E at the end of it, yes, there it
Oh
is.
yeah.
And please go look up Adam out in Savage Master. If you look up Savage Master, he's hard to miss. It's hard to miss.
Yeah. It's hard to miss him.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You guys have a good day. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
We'll see you later.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.